Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Happy fourth Sunday. This is Jacqueline Smith, Ampey from Morality Moves. God bless you. I hope you're having a wonderful end of fall, end of summer, post pre-fall. But every day is a gift from the Lord. So God bless you. Happy Sunday. I hope you're doing well. This is a live recording. It's not recorded. It's live. But I just want to say happy Sunday. This is Morality Moves, broadcast on the fourth Sunday of every month. I'm going to come to you live as best as I can when life don't be lifing. But the fourth Sunday of the month from 3 to 4, uh, the hours were extended from 3 to 4, 3:30, from 3 to 4 now. So that is such a blessing. I thank God for the broadcast and the opportunity, Pastor Wall, for this opportunity. So I'm going to be coming to you fourth Sunday of the month, Morality Moves. And again, it's moving in morality. Uh, Moving in morality and thanking God for another opportunity. And I'm going to let you know who I am. People moved in morality, painting the problem, and a call to action. Call to action. Again, any day that the good Lord wakes you up is a day to rejoice. This is the day that the Lord hath made, and I will rejoice in it. In other words, I'm a participant in the day. I'm grateful for what the Lord has made, so I always want to give God the glory for that. And I come on the Christian broadcast because morality moves. Whose morality? It ain't mine. I only been here just a blip in eternity. I haven't been here too long. It ain't my morality. I didn't create this world. It's the Lord's morality. It's the Lord's ways, his methods, his understanding from the Bible, the basic instruction before leaving earth. Ain't my instruction. Last time I checked, it's only one instruction, God's ways. And if you're looking to the world, you got to keep on looking because it's crazy out there. So hold on to Jesus. So it's morality and God's morality. And again, like I always said, Matthew 7:14, he says, narrow is the way that leads to eternal life, and few find it. So God's ways are narrow, restrictive, hence the word God. We don't need to understand it. No two fingerprints are alike. Can't understand that. That boggles imagination. No two snowflakes are alike. So obviously, and also too, if the sun was a little bit further, if also too, the sun is so positioned that we'd either burn or freeze, but God positioned it so close, positioned it perfectly that this earth habitates us. So God takes good care of us. So that's just saying that it's God's morality, it's God's standard, and it's restrictive. Again, I'm reminded of Philippians 4:8. That is the umbrella of morality moves. He says, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is good, whatsoever true. He said, think on these things because that helps the mind. We're body, soul, and mind. So if we're thinking of the opposite, it's destructive, it's deteriorating, it's destroying you. And that's why I say morality moving in morality, and morality in terms of the music lyrics. That's what I will focus on. Entertainment's a large umbrella, but it is the Christians shining the light in the way of music lyrics, in entertainment and music lyrics. I ain't covering all of it because you got the TV, you have magazines, you got movies. However, if we can start with the music lyrics and start painting that brush there, it could be a ripple effect all around. All around. I mean, you had the Me Too movement. Why can't you have the cease and desist movement in terms of the music lyrics? So again, that's who Morality Moves is. Not much about me, it's more about what the mission is. Again, people who moved in morality, I can sit in this chair, literally. I'm sitting in this chair. We can sit in this chair because the people came behind you. And I have to always be cognizant and respectful that I am here today because of those who paid the price to allow us to be here, right? Pay the price. The ultimate price was Jesus. So I have no right to be complaining and acting like I don't have any hope, have the hope in the Lord. But those who paid the price, that we can enjoy all the fruits today. Everyone, freedom is never free. Thank God for all the military, all the veterans. Freedom is never free. So I thank God for that. So those who pay the price. So I'm going to talk about few people who paid the price because we need to be reminded. I need to be reminded. Any aspect that you're fighting for or going towards, you need to be reminded of those who fought behind you. And God, those who fight behind you. I need to first honor, thank a man, Dr. Dobson, who passed away. I believe it was this week. Dr. Dobson, he was probably 89 years old, and he's an excellent example of someone who paved the way for us for righteousness. He had a radio show called Focus on the Family. Perhaps many people, perhaps in my generation, might be aware of that, Focus on the Family, but it has been around since the 1970s. And Dr. Dobson, he told his story of how the Lord led him into doing Focus on the Family. And he passed away now, 89 years old. And he created Focus on the Family. And then he went on to create another radio show later in his years called I believe it's Family Talk. So he stayed in the ministry. He stayed in the ministry. And he felt that the Lord led him to talk about family issues and and his ministry was focusing on the family, the definition of families, husband and a wife, and the children, and he made sure that that they were taken care of, and just talking about what the Lord's standard was in respect and love of the family. And he saw that if the family wasn't a foundation, if in America, if the family was not the foundation, then everything else will crumble. And you can see that with fatherlessness when when the father's not at home. You can see all those things. So he says everything derives from the family, from the mother and the father and the children. And a society that doesn't respect that or honor that over time deteriorates. So he based his foundation, his ministry, his life work on the family. And and I heard his story. I heard from his own mouth, heard his story from his own mouth when they were interviewing him. And he must have been maybe 86, 87. He died at 89. And he was telling his story of his father. His father was a minister who was not well known, just a minister, a minister. And he was telling the story of his father who was a minister, and he just loved the Lord. He prayed for hours at a time, fasted. He just gave his life to the Lord ministry. And initially, his mother, the doctor said that she would never conceive. She'd never conceive a child. But the Lord told his father that no, you will conceive and have a child. And that was Jim Dobson. Look at God. Look at here. That was Jim Dobson, right? So we're thinking the 1930s, that was James Dobson. I just want to tell you this backstory, how the Lord has always been moving in history and positioning people to draw people near to themselves and positioning people to draw near to Christ through the lives of many people. But Jim Dobson was talking about his father and how he's a minister and his mother couldn't conceive, but the doctor said you can't conceive, but God said you will conceive, you will have a child, and that was Jim Dobson. Long story short, the father wanted to continue preaching and ministering and bringing others to Christ, but God said to him one time, God said to him that your millions of people will be reached, but it won't be through you. It'll be through your son, Jim Dobson. Wow. Let me go back again. The father was praying to God, because praying to God that he can keep elongating his life, because I think he had an illness and he just wanted to keep preaching for the Lord and asking the Lord to give him more time. But God said that you will reach millions, but it won't be through you. It'll be through your son, Jim Dobson. That's when Jim Dobson was a child, was very young. And the father went on to pass away from an illness. And then Jim Dobson, you see the stories of Jim Dobson. Jim Dobson, through his life, and that's to show you that God's standards, he will rise up people to keep proclaiming his word, to move in morality. So Jim Dobson has, yes, reached millions through Christ, millions for Christ, of putting the focus on the family, how God defined the family, because God created the family. God created family and also government institutions. And I did not know that story. That's to show you in 1930s that God does care about righteousness, right standing, because righteousness is right with God, right? God's standards, God's ways. That's righteousness. So he was a great light, but God foreknew that. He told his father that you will reach millions for me, but it won't be through you, it'll be through your son. Reminds me of David and Solomon. When David wanted to build the temple, and God said, I see your heart. I know you want to build a temple for me, but your hands are too bloody from war. You're not going to build a temple, but Solomon built a temple. So I'm just so thankful of the Lord that He has always had us in mind to keep on preaching what's right, keep on sending His people, through the life of Dr. Dobson, through the lives of us, that mother, that father, that aunt, anyone that you are doing as unto the Lord. God says, if you give a cup of water in my name, He won't forget it. So I thank God for that life. And I know I stopped on there, but it was remarkable. God cares about morality. God cares about calling right, right, and wrong, wrong. And He will raise up people to remind us that His ways are narrow. His ways leads to life. He says there's a way that seems right unto man, but the end of way of death. That's in Proverbs. That what you think is not what God thinks. So I'm just reminded that God cares, God sees, it's not just the physical, it's the spiritual and the things and keeping those standards in place. So I just thank God for him. Thank God for Dr. Dobson and his life that he gave. And you never heard nothing negative about Dr. Dobson. And I thank God for his life. So I just want to be reminded of that, and that he gave the sacrifice of just leading many through Christ through his ministry. And so that is one person there, Dr. Dobson, and he, like, as I stated too. Let me digress a little bit. We do not know we know our beginning. We do know our beginning. We know our beginning. We do not know the end. No, all we control is the dash. All we control is the time that we have now. So let me also remind you, how are you spending your time? I'm going to digress and remind you of that you are a masterpiece because you're created in the image of the master. Are you Netflixing? Are you wasting your time? Or make sure that you are doing as unto the Lord, that you're giving him first fruits, that you're seeking first his kingdom and his righteousness, and everything will be added unto you. And I have to remind you of that, because at the end of the day, you want him to say, well done, thou good and faithful servant, enter in. You don't want him to say, well, what have you done? You do not want to say that. You do not want the Lord to say, well, what have you done? With the time, the talents, the gifts that I have given you, this time I have planted you in, boop, on this place called eternity, place called earth. You could have been, we could have been a different time, could have been born in the time of Christ, time of slavery, could have been born in England anytime or any place, but God allowed you this specific day in time. And we only have a short window. Doesn't matter. No one knows the expiration date, no matter how old you are. So I do say that live a full life for the Lord. The Bible says, whatever you do it heartily unto the Lord. So I am doing this heartily unto God because too much darkness out there, too much craziness and too much foolishness up in there. And all you hear is this. Exactly. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. Nothing. Right? We all looking cute and looking good and all kind of foolishness transpiring and occurring. So I say move in morality and get out there, and we are responsible. We're responsible for the generation currently now and the generation that's following us, right? We are responsible. So I say how to do that. I know I digress, but how to do that. These magazines, tell the stores, I don't want this stuff. I don't want this junk, right? Just keep on talking. You see a radio station, call them. Cease and desist. We ain't with this. As soon as you hear one curse and one stuff, just stop that. Say, this is nasty. This is nasty. Look at the Target boycott. The CEO had to step down from the Target boycott. Whatever you feel about Target and that stuff, there's power in unity and when you speak with your dollars. So let's speak in terms of righteousness. Let's speak in terms of righteousness. I'll keep going on in that, but let's speak in terms of that. Let me talk to you quickly about Dr. Mary Bethune-McLeod. And why do I talk about these great people of history? Because they're not talked about enough. We know about basketball players and Beyonce, no disrespect to no one, but we need to bring up the pillars of those who went before us and who sacrificed that we can be here today. Dr. Mary Bethune-McLeod. Dr. Mary Bethune-McLeod. She was born in 1875. She died when she was 79 years old. She lived a full life. She was the 15th of the 17th child first out of slavery. Ain't that something? So don't tell me you can't be doing nothing. I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear it. This is a generation that we have the most and complain the most. I do not, and God don't want to hear it either. You know what I'm saying? God does not want to hear it. Okay. He understands your concerns, but not constantly nagging and all the things that we have. Those who can do. Now, those who are going through depression, having a hard time, that's a different story. You just need to take a knee in life, but then you get back up. But those who have overabundance, over surplus, we got to be in the fight. So we have more than enough. She didn't have anything. Dr. Mary Bethune-McLeod was an African-American woman born 1875. She was the 15th of 17th child, all right? The first out of slavery. She was the first out of slavery. Remind me of Fannie Lou Hamer. She was the last baby. I think she was the 22nd child or 20th child. And she's, thank God that her mother did not abort her. But I digress. So she was the 15th of the 17th child, first out of slavery, the first one. The grandmother was royal, and she and her mom instilled pride in her because she was the first one out of slavery. So everyone else was in slavery. And somewhere down south, I apologize, I don't have where she was born. Somewhere down south, I don't know if it was Florida, might be in Florida. Her mother instilled her pride. Her grandmother was royal, so she and her mom instilled pride in her. And you had to. You had to instill something in you. That's to show you. You can have slavery. That's why I don't want to hear. You can have slavery and all kind of negative stuff round about you, right? But somewhere God is going to bring people around you and say, no, that ain't what you see is not your identity. Because that's a perfect example. Although, because if she was the 15th out of 17th child, the first one out of slavery, everybody around her was a slave. Her grandmother, her mother, they were all enslaved. But then they said, no, your identity is not slavery. That's the same thing as us Christians. We have no reason to be complaining up in here. Our identity is in the Lord and all that God offers. And so her grandmother was royal. She and her mom instilled pride. And they wanted her to be a sharecropper. She walked to and fro 5 miles every day. But in 1904, someone was able to donate money so she can go to school because they saw that she had a great gifting for school. In 1904, she started her own school with 5 students. She sold sweet potato pie at $1.50. So she was a great, she had a great talent for learning, and she was able to go to school, go to college. They helped her go to college, and then she decided in 1904 to start her own school. Don't know where or why, but she started her own school because she learned how to teach, That she goes, I'm going to see how I can start my own school with 5 students, and she sold sweet potato pie at $1.50. And eventually it became a 2-year school, liberal arts, not vocational. In 1923, it was Bethune-Cookman College. Bethune-Cookman College, Daytona, Florida. So that one small school, that one small opportunity. So that's why you never despise small beginnings. And she had her faith in the Lord. I forgot about that. She had her faith in the Lord. So she started with her school with 5 students. She sold sweet potato pie, $1.50, and eventually became a 2-year school, Bethune and Cookman College. Cookman College said Bethune College was getting so big. All the African American women were going and men, and Cookman College was a white school with poor enrollment, and Bethune took it over because she had more enrollments. Because she had more enrollment. So let me digress again. There's nothing impossible with the Lord. There's nothing impossible when you have your mind, which is better than AI and the strongest computer, because that's what God makes in us, right? She put that one little school together, 5 students sold sweet potato pie. So that was during slavery. She was like, you know, very soon removed out of slavery, all this around her, but she said, okay, I want to open this school. I saw the need and she jumped in and she moved in morality with the Lord, her and the Lord, nothing impossible. And then here comes Cookman College, but doing great. Cookman College not doing so well. It was a white school, poor enrollment, and Mary Bethune took it over. So now you have, which is still today, you're gonna see the basketball team, Bethune Cookman College. Amazing. Just amazing. And what did she do? She said, you know what? We're going to teach spiritual songs to students. She had a sense of dignity and pride. None of these pants hanging down, right? Women dressing appropriately, right? And a self-esteem. She was active in Black women's teacher and the business associations. She was a friend and mentor at Eleanor Roosevelt, to show you the time, right? 1930s. And she had faith in God. And she said, work if everything depends on you. Don't be lazy. Wake up. Don't be lazy. Don't be scrolling all day. Don't be scrolling down your phone, clicking all day, right? She said, don't be lazy. She said, work if everything depends on you, but pray if everything depends on God. Faith and works right there. Faith, show me your faith by your works. And she was a Christian, and she was a busy Christian, right? She was a busy Christian, right? And that's another example. God expects you to do faith and works, right? Faith and works. God is no genie. Faith and works. Show me your faith by your works. So at that time, no one is open to school. And she was so good that the white school said, listen, you want to take my school over? Because you're doing amazing. She's like, oh, yeah, sure. She took it all that over because she had her heart in, she saw the need. That's why I gotta talk about Mary Bethune. She saw the need and she jumped in it. She didn't ask how she gonna pay for it. She just started with the little bit she had. And what do we have? What do you have? What do you have? What are you doing with your skills? What are you doing with your talents? Right? What are we doing as unto the Lord? And she was a Christian because that's how the Lord helped her. But she stepped out in faith and she went to associations. She went with networking. She was friend and mentor of Eleanor Roosevelt, so she had her ear. Look what God did over one little sweet potato pie, right? I thought that was amazing. I heard her own story, so I'll be writing it down. And she sold, what was it, 5 sweet potato pies? Yeah, she'd been selling sweet potato pies at $1.50. She started with 5 students. 5 students, right? It's like David had 5 smooth stones, right, to bring down that giant. So nothing is impossible. You give God a little bit, he gonna open it up big. But you gotta be in the fight. She didn't do that at home. She didn't say, "Oh, I'm a slave. I can't do nothing." Oh my, no, 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 no. She said, mm-mm. They instilled in her pride. She said, "Okay, what's the need?" And the Lord kept using her. All right. And this was Mary Bethune McLeod's last will and testament. I just thought it was so beautiful. I have to write it down. This is Mary Bethune McLeod as she's leaving, as she created this world. And there should be a movie about her. There should have been a movie about her. But as she created her last will and testament, again, she created the school. She created, and from that school, she just opened up that door, similar to Booker T. Washington with Tuskegee. So many people went out in the market field because of her. And a sense of pride during the time of slavery. A little bit, maybe years slavery removed, but she could care less. She's like, God gave me my capacity, and I'm going to use it as unto the Lord. And wow, what did she do? Right? Black woman during years removed from slavery. So my goodness, you could do it during that time. Didn't have no computers. It had no computers, no personal computers, no phones, no AI, no GPT, but she had sweet potato pies and she had 2 legs. But the most important thing she had was her faith in the Lord and a sense of working hard. A sense of working hard. And this was her last will and testament. She said, "Here then is my legacy, what I leave you." How many points was this? Here was my legacy. She like 10 points or something she leaves you. This is what she leaves you. Now she's leaving that from a life filled. Teddy Roosevelt says, "I want to live a life that I wear out, not rust out." That's what Teddy Roosevelt said. "I want to live a life that wears out." That's what Mary Bethune-McLeod lived a life that she wear it out, not rust out, sitting home just resting out. But this is what her last will and testament. She goes, I leave you love." That's the first thing. And she sure did that by her actions. Because she opened that school, not for her. She didn't have any kids at that time. She was a teacher. But she leave you love. I leave you hope. Yesterday, our ancestors endured the degradation of slavery. This is her. I leave you hope. She said, yesterday, our ancestors endured the degradation of slavery, yet they retained their dignity. What? Isn't that something? She says, they endured the degradation of slavery, yet they retained their dignity. Like Maya Angelou said, it's not what you call me, it's what I answer to. You know what I'm saying? It's not what you call me, it's what I answer to. That's what Maya Angelou said. So who cares what they call you? Just let it roll off. It's what you answer to. She says, I leave you the challenge of developing confidence in one another. I leave you a thirst for education. I leave you a respect for uses of power. I leave you faith. Faith in God is the greatest power. That's right. But great too is faith in oneself. That's right. Then she says, I leave you racial dignity. She believed, she was a Christian. Everyone working together. I want Negroes to maintain their human dignity at all costs. And I leave you a desire to live harmoniously with your fellow man. And lastly, this is one I've got to highlight emphasis on. I leave you finally a responsibility to our young people. What? She goes, I leave you finally responsibility to our young people. Now that's where hence I talk about morality moves. How are we allowing all the music lyrics? If she saw this today, the things that we're allowing our youth to consider as music, she would be so heartbroken that we're allowing that. But I leave you finally a responsibility to our young people. That is definitely what she said, a responsibility to our young people. And that was Mary Bethune-McLeod. And if you see now, she has her college in Florida. They have a great basketball team. See it sometime on TV. But that's Mary Bethune-McLeod. And as we sit in this century, we have to be reminded about those who didn't have, when you go to the store, so much variety, didn't have the 2 different types of cars, TVs in every room, phone plan, all these things. And again, we are the generation that has the most, but we're doing the least. We can do much more than those who had least, but did much more. So God is going to hold us accountable in this generation. That those are the ease and the comfort and just getting fatter and fatter as you watch TV and all this stuff. And I'm talking to the body of Christ. You got to get in. You got to get in. You got to get in the school system. The schools, school committees, the teacher, the school committees. Christians get involved. Get involved in just the meetings that they have, even if you don't have children, if you're in that area, more so if you're taxpayers, even if you're not taxpayers, just get in the community and find out what the need is. Christians got to be in every area. Thank God for the policemen, the firemen. Go to your town council meetings. Let the Christians be a light there too. We can't just be Christians in church on Sundays and then holy huddle during the week, at home or something. We got to be out and be shining for Christ. He told us to be salt and light in the world, salt and light in the world. And that's where he placed us during this time. If you're in your city, God knew that. Find out what the needs are. Find out where the needs are and keep on shining the light. That's what they did differently. So I do say that to continue shining the light on that, because it's gonna cost you. Doing what's right, God's way. Yeah, they'll probably ridicule you, whatever, but so they did that with Christ. So you got to get a thick skin. You definitely have to get a thick skin. And let me tell you about Mandela and his last declaration when he was about 40 years old. Mandela. This is the Mandela. When he's 4 years old, now he probably went about the wrong way a little bit, a little bit more of a terrorist trying to fight against apartheid in South Africa. But his heart was right. His heart was right. But when he was sentenced before the judge, and he was going to get a life sentence, or he wasn't sure if he was going to get a life sentence or if they were going to kill him. He wasn't sure, but this was his last statement before going to prison. I guess his last statement before going to prison, because he knew at that time. Again, Mandela he was first started off as a lawyer, so very prestigious during that time, quite the intellectual, a lawyer in his time. So maybe it's the 30s or the 40s, something along that line. And he realized that he needed to get in the fight against South Africa, against apartheid. It was very difficult time. The killings, it was very, very difficult. The killings, it was just blatant out there, and he needed to get involved. Again, he was living a very comfortable life. He didn't have to, a lawyer at that time, so he was doing well for himself. So it cost him something. It cost him something to get out of his comfort zone, to say, I got to get in this fight. I got to put all my chips in and get in the fight. Now, let me digress and say, anything around you, this life that God has given you, because he's given it to you, he's given it to me. Is there anything besides your family? You got to honor your family and making sure you're there for your family if you have a family, or your extended family. Is there anything outside that God is calling you, it's stirring you up, say you got to get in this fight? Because he'll tell you. Oh, he's going to tell you. The Lord will tell you. The Holy Spirit will tell you that it just doesn't leave you. That's something that you got to be about his business. Remember Jesus when he was younger and the family were looking for him. Jesus, where are you? He goes, don't you know that I be about my Father's business? At 12 years old. At 12 years old. Or Paul, this one thing I do, forgetting those things are behind and pressing forward. What's the one thing that you're doing? What's the one thing that God has instilled in you that put that fire, that has put all your chips in? Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that counts. Now, is it your family? Whatever God has called you, you got to be the best in where you're at. Because at the end of the day, when he calls you, don't know if it's a drive home. Because he said nobody knows about tomorrow. The saved, the unsaved, don't matter. I had no control being here at this time, right? And I have no control waking up. None of us do, right? We're looking at all this money and all this stuff and trying to get the bag. But listen, the only bag you need to get right now is just serving the Lord, and he give you everything else. What time is it? It's Matthew 6:33 and 34. Seek ye first his kingdom, and everything else. He knows what you need will be added. But he wants you to seek his kingdom. So I digress, saying, remember, in all you're getting, you got to first put the Lord first and say to him, okay, God, what is it that you need me to do with my life over the remaining of this year? You know what I'm saying? Where you need my GPS to be going, where you need to reroute me, because that's where God has his greatest impact in your life. And again, as I said, those as you go through this life, we ain't clean enough. Clean in school systems, clean in the courthouses, clean in the justice system. Us Christians got to be out there cleaning more. That's the hence the rule of morality moves. Morality moves is cleaning up. Because the world is as it is, because Christians are in our holy huddle, just not as out there, lovingly, cleaning up as you go. And then you have the generation currently and behind you looking at all this foolishness on TV, on the music lyrics, on movies. It's just degrading on top of degrading now. And no one says anything. So we need to be in culture and say, and say this is wrong. But Mandela cashed it all in. He cashed it all in. And he said, this is what he said when he was up against, when they were going to sentence him in his last statement before going to prison. He said, I have dedicated my life to the struggle of the African people. I think he was about 40 years old, and he was sentenced. I think he served like 30 or 40 years. Came out as 80 years old, then he became president. He said, I've dedicated my life to the struggle of the African people. I have fought against white domination, and I fought against Black domination. So he said, I've dedicated my life to the struggle of the African people. I fought against white domination, and I fought against Black domination. I have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society in which all persons will live free together, all persons in harmony with equal opportunities, white and Black. It is an idea for which I hope to live for and see realized. But my Lord, this is amazing. But my Lord, it is an idea from which I'm prepared to die for. And that was a mic drop. And that was a mic drop. He says, again, this is his last statement before the judge. He was like 30, 40. They caught him fighting against the wickedness of apartheid. It was like slavery, killing the kids in the streets. It was just, he was fighting against that. And they caught him and they're sentencing him. It's like a movie, but this is real life. This is a movie. He put all the chips in. He poured all the chips in so South Africa can have the ease that it has today. That Elon Musk comes from, has the ease of today. He gave his life. And he said at the end, is his idea for which I hope to live for and see realized. But now when you hear but, you get quiet and you move in, because this is his heart. He putting all the chips on in. This is his whole life. He fought and he ain't even crying at the end. Talk about giving it all. He said, but my Lord, it needs to be is an idea from which I'm prepared to die for. That's why Mandela was great. That's why he was great. And then I think at that time he wasn't sure if he was going to die or he wasn't sure if it was at that time they were going to decide if he was going to go to prison for 40 years, 30, 40, the rest of his life, or be killed. But he said at the end, I'm prepared to die. Because he wasn't sure. That's what that was. He wasn't sure. So talk about giving it all in. I just stopped on that one because that hence morality moves. He saw the need for his country. He was at ease. Right? Living. Same thing with Moses. Moses was in a king's palace. Moses had it going on. Moses was in a king's palace. He was going to be Pharaoh's palace. He was favored, but then he heard the cries of his people, right? He heard the cries of people. He gave it all up. Moses gave it all up. He was in the palace, but then he went and he followed the Lord. He gave it all. Now us Christians, now I digress, but I have to remind us as Christians, those are Christians, we are called. Paul says, I die daily. He says, pick up your cross and follow me. He said, pick up your cross and follow me. Now, I just say that, yes, as we following the Lord, that we are, walking with him. And as we walk, things that we need to get done, we need to step in. We need to step in. So that was the great Mandela. That was a great Mandela. So can't keep on talking about other people because I'll probably be here for a long time. But I think I told you about Mandela. I think I also told you about maybe one more, Diane Nash. I talked to her last time. I talked to her about Diane Nash last time. And again, a movie should be done about her, Diane Nash. There should be one done about Diane Nash. But she currently is, I think she passed away. But I'll talk to her one more time quickly about her, and then I'm going to talk to you about what the problem is with statistics about the sexually explicit content that kids are consuming today. That's why they're cursing. That's why they're dressing the way they are. Media has a strong influence on all of that, and quite frankly, they don't have the contrary to it because people are really quiet on the other side. So hence the word morality moves and cease and desist. We ain't with this. I said, call your radio station. As soon as you hear it, tell them the moral conductor says cease and desist. We ain't with this. Let the kids start being, oh no, this ain't right. No, it ain't right. Give the babies a chance. Give the babies a chance. But Diane Nash, uh, great woman, great woman. Don't know, don't just a great woman. She saw the need. She was right there with John Lewis. Find a way to get in the way. John Lewis, a great man. This was during the time of racial segregation, and she was trying to desegregate. I always get that word wrong. She tried to have Black people in the counters, right? In the lunch counters, because that was not transpiring at the time. So what is it, the 60s? She was in the nonviolent movement, and in college, she was going to college, but she was also taking nonviolent classes to see how she can get involved because she had to help her people. Again, someone who going to college, maybe the first time ever, uh, having a great career path, track path, but she saw the problem there. She's, something going on here, but I'm studying here. But they sent me to school here, but they paid for me to go to college here. I'm the first in my class, first in my family, maybe to go to college. And she was a woman, 18, 19, but she hears the cries of the people there. She sees the streets. She sees the injustice. She sees the pain. She's like, well, let me take this nonviolent class. Well, she said, okay. She's involved in a group that's a nonviolent group. She's taking classes, in addition to her classes for college, how to respectfully push back against how to respectfully engage the white culture at that time, how to respectfully do sit-ins to push back against segregation. She said, okay, I'm going to get involved. What she did, and many others at that time, these are young kids, 17, 18, 19, going to college. They signed their last will and testament in case they were killed. Say, listen, this is going to be my last will. These are kids just starting life. But then they saw that there was a need. They said, I'm going to get involved. And she said, I'm not called to succeed, but to do my best. And what they did that was a mouth drop to me. They said, we're going to sign our last wills and testament. I don't know if sitting on this lunch counter in a white-only lunch counter that you're not supposed to be in because you're Black, no Blacks allowed, sitting there going to get me killed. She goes, I don't know, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So we have to be reminded. And then they asked her, wasn't it scary? Beautiful, beautiful young lady, 17, 18, going out there. They said, this is what we're going to do. That had nothing to do with Martin Luther King. These were young kids doing that themselves. John Lewis and then Martin Luther King came alongside them. But they started that on their own. Again, they saw the need. The older folks weren't doing it, right? They said, we're not going to wait on the older folks. This is just too too degrading, too disrespectful. We gonna do it ourselves. And someone asked her, but Diane Nash, Nash, like Nashville, but just Nash. They said, but Diane, wasn't it scary? Wasn't it scary sitting behind that lunch counter? She said, oh yeah. She said, of course it was scary. I'm human, you know? She said, oh yeah. She goes, yeah. She goes, yeah, it was really scary sitting behind the lunch counter. Imagine that, sitting behind the lunch counter, knowing they ain't gonna serve you. And that was a young, beautiful woman at the time, right? She said, but we were able to summon the courage. This is what she said. These are her own words. I'm writing this right, reading this right. She said, we were able to summon the courage because segregation was so harsh, demeaning, insulting, and degrading. She said, yeah, we were able to summon the courage. She said, you know why? She said, it's because segregation was so harsh, right? Demeaning, no blacks allowed. You can't get no cup of coffee. You can't drink from this fountain. She goes, so it's demeaning, harsh, insulting, and degrading. You should go to college, but you can't sit and get some coffee. She goes, and degrading. So the choice was to carry out nonviolence, what they were doing, or tolerate it. You're gonna tolerate it, or tolerate it. Because when you tolerate something, what is that? It's agreeing, acquiescing to what it's being transpired, what's going on. So Martin Luther King said it too, that when you don't say anything, you are agreeing to it. She goes, either the choice was to carry it out, nonviolence. What she was doing, sitting on the lunch counters, not knowing what's going to happen. I'm going to get killed today. I think what they're going to do. And this is just a young woman, right? Young men, young white men around her, she was able to sit there. She says, the choice was to carry out nonviolence or tolerate it. That's where I just sit in a little bit. I don't take more time on this because there's so much stuff that where is our sense of cause? Where's our sense of saying something is so harsh, demeaning, insulting, derogating that the Christians would rise up and said, this is wrong. God calls this wrong. Where's that moral sense of outrage? Like David went against the Goliath when his older brothers, stature, big, came this little David. So, and finding out that the Goliath was talking against God, against Jehovah. And David's like, is there not a cause? Is there not a cause? I'm gonna go fight him, right? I'm gonna go. Is there not a cause? And that's why I say today to the Christians, is there not a cause? Is there not a cause? The devil has a way of just keep the Christians just comfortable, just comfortable, in your own place. But God has called us out. God has called us out. So she said, She goes, She goes, I know, but I'm going to be out there. Yep. And she says, by 1960s, we were ready to do whatever it took. Go ahead, Miss Nash. She said, by 1960, we were able to do whatever it took to stop segregation. Here she goes. These were her own words. I heard it in the video, so I wrote it down. She goes, by the 1960s, now this is a graduated woman. This is a woman that she got married, she could have her own bag. She said, I'm going in to fight. There's something wrong over here. Right? She moving in morality. By the 1960s, ready to do whatever it took to stop segregation, if it takes jailhouse, beatings, or death. They did this before. They didn't ask Martin Luther King. These are college kids. It's like, we're gonna have to do something about this right now, right? And she said if it took jailhouse, beatings, or death. Right. And another important element, she goes, we were going to do it regardless. She said, we're going to do it. We're just going to do it regardless. And she said, another important element, we changed ourselves into people who could not be segregated. She's like, we said, wait a minute. That's another mic drop. She said, another important element, we changed ourselves into people who could not be segregated. Ain't that something? She said, Again, Maya Angelou, it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. So she said, we changed ourselves into people who could not be, we had enough. Obviously, they had enough. They put their lives on the line. Mandela had enough. They put their life on the line. And again, they had much less, much less. Can we not call a radio station? Can we not call the TV station? Can you not protest on the movie theater? Could we not have a sense of outrage as Christians and disgust, holy disgust? Didn't Jesus turn over the tables when he said, get these people out my temple, right? Can we not have a sense of holy outrage over these nasty music lyrics or just nasty stuff you see, right? And she went on to say that the murder of the four little girls in the Birmingham bombings, that said they decided they had to do something. It's enough is enough, right? And that was Diane Nash. Oh, that was a long introduction, huh? I can go on forever. Go on forever. But we all have to be reminded of people who moved in morality, who because of, and the lunch counters were segregated. I forgot to mention that part. The lunch counters were segregated, right? They picketed, they got it done. They were segregated because it was just wrong. We're looking at, and I'm going to wrap up, we're looking at our world today. Some of these music lyrics, I just got like 10 minutes, but I think we all need to be reminded in a place of ease, of comfort, that freedom is never free. And you have to pay the price. You have to pay the price for jumping into injustice. It's going to be uncomfortable. It might be ridiculed, but where's the standard? Christ is the standard. Christ is the way. He is the standard. But when I think of the music lyrics today, like I said, I don't know if you did the homework last time. I don't know if you did the homework last time, but if I only got 5 minutes, so I'm going to start wrapping up. If you did the homework I said last week, listen to some of these lyrics. I don't, look at some of these videos and you're going to be appalled. This has been an onslaught of just degradation after every year. It's all over, degradation after every year. You're going to hear the F word, the B word, just depiction of sex. I mean, it's pornographic. Some of the words, certified freak, or the D word, N word K, just or the F word. It's all up in there. Like I said, they're just shining a light on everything now. Shining light on everything. But I say that we need to get involved. We need to get involved. Call the radio station, say cease and desist. We're not with this. There's a way that the Christians should call, say, as soon as you hear something, just start it. Just say cease and desist, we're not with this. Give the kids a chance. Us older people, let's not co-sign to that foolishness by not ever saying nothing and thinking it's called art, right? There's a reason why God gave us clothes and gave us a bathroom. Ain't nobody trying to see none of that, right? What's that? The next wave, of freedom going out in the streets, right? Even the animal knows to go behind somewhere sometimes. But we need to be salt and light in the world. And next time I'm going to talk a little bit more about more of the stats, but pretty much just call them and say cease and desist, that we're not with this. And little by little, we need to let people know that it's not right, that it's very degrading, and it's not honoring unto the Lord. Like I said, our kids are kings and queens. They're not anything. So please call the radio stations, call also the record labels, Sony, RCA. I'll have more lists, if I can remember next time, on who to contact, but all the information's out there. I'll be here every fourth Sunday of the month from 3 to 4, from 3 to 4 o'clock, every Sunday of the month with you, saying cease and desist. We are not with this, and God be with you, and God keep you. And again, as I said, do your homework. Listen and watch some of those videos that I just tell you to go watch them, but get some context. Go watch them and realize that that's something that we don't want our children to be digesting. Because what you get out your eye gate, you're going to act out. You're going to act out. So cease and desist. We're not with this. I will be here the fourth Sunday of the month from 3 to 4. Just giving you more stats from the American Academy of Pediatrics, Vanity Fair with the history of cheerleading and the uniforms. That's a whole nother thing, my goodness, whole nother thing. Back again, the Parent Television Council, and just the stats that are out there in terms of the degradation of music or media overall that they've always been aware of. So God bless you all. God bless you. This is Jacqueline. This is the moral conductor of this train. The morality moves, and keep on moving the morality. Don't let them stop you. All right, keep on moving in morality. God bless you and keep you. Thank you.